Good day YouTube, Kaitsu here, and today I'm back with another video discussing about the best decks for rank that you should be playing right now if you want to rank up fast. And today I've gathered 8 lists that I think are the best that you can play on the ladder right now in terms of efficiency and all that. And these are also just mostly the decks that you will encounter in the ladder as well, so it would also be nice to be familiar with them, especially the common list that you would see. So without further ado, let's get started with this video. And for our very first deck, as you can see already on the screen, it is none other than Altaria Gourgeist. I think I already have a video on this deck on the channel, and straight up I think this deck is just the best deck of the season. This deck, I always talk about this deck in a way that this deck does not have any bad matchups, at least in theory, so you can never go wrong with this deck. If you play this in your climb, you will more often than not always have at least a 50-50 matchup, and it's always a game to play, and it's just a matter of either you brick so bad or your opponent just high rolls you. But if none of that happens, it's going to be a game to play, and that you will always have a pretty fair matchup across all the board of decks that you will encounter on the ladder. That's why I think this is the deck that I will recommend the most, especially if you're unsure of other decks that are currently in the meta. You can never go wrong with Altaria and Gourgeist. And personally, I have just been mostly using this deck as well, and have been getting decent success with it as well, because again, you don't have a losing matchup. Every match is a game to play. It's just a matter of who gets first, who gets what they need first, and this deck is good in that kind of scenario, especially if we're talking about playing that kind of long game and being able to get to your to the winning conditions that you need. But anyway, for our next deck, we have another Greninja deck, and this is another really popular deck right now. It's Altaria and Greninja. This deck has been strong for a lot of seasons now, and it's just been getting stronger, and it's not a question why this deck is strong, because as you can see, you have Greninja and Altaria. Greninja by itself is really strong, Altaria by itself is really strong, and you also have Chingling in this deck. So there's pretty much no question about it. This deck is pretty high rolly though, so you do have to be quite cautious of it, because you will have some games where you just never find the cards that you need, but you will also have a lot of games where you just get everything you need, and that's why this deck is super duper strong. If you want a deck that has that kind of Chingling control, and then you also have control over the board with Greninja and Cyrus, then this deck is definitely something that you might want to use in your ladder climb. And for the next deck, it's also surprisingly another Greninja Altaria deck, but this one is, I would say, a lot more evil. I call this evil because I've lost an absurd amount of times against this deck, and as you can see, it's running 2 Meowth, and what Meowth does is every time you hit Meowth, you need to flip Meowth. The Meowth player flips a coin. If they flip heads, your attack doesn't go through, and it's pretty tilting. I would definitely say it's pretty tilting, and I have straight up lost so many games just because my opponent kept on hitting heads on their Meowth, and I just never got my damage off, and then my opponent just drew to what they need, and then eventually I just lost the game, right? A lot of this list only run one Mega Altaria EX, because it's pretty much relying on scamming your opponent. It's pretty much relying on being able to flip heads, and then being able to use Meowth's draw ability, and then finding that single Altaria that you have in your deck. And a lot of the times you won't even really break it anyway, because my opponent always gets it. So you probably will get it a lot of times as well yourself. But for the tech cards, the list that I grabbed this off from is they were using 2 Poncho, which is pretty interesting, but also makes super sense because the thing with this deck is you do hide in your backline. Having Poncho is super duper big, especially against the opponents that can put damage on your bench. So 2 Poncho in here makes sense. For their other tech cards, they're running 2 Cyrus and only 1 Copycat, and then a split of Ball and Lisha because you do want to find your Froakie whenever you can in order to get your Greninja and start putting on damage on the board. But yeah, these 3 Altaria decks are the main Altaria decks you will see this season. All of them are really strong. It's just pretty much a pick your poison type of thing, because all of them are really strong. It depends on your playstyle, depend on the current meta environment on the time you're doing your grind. So definitely just adjust accordingly, or especially be aware if you ever face them on the ladder, because you definitely will face them a lot on the ladder this season. And for the next 2 decks, we are going to be talking about a Bellibolt. The 2 Bellibolt versions that exist right now in the metagame is first this Bellibolt Magnezone deck. Also, this list is the 1-to-1 list that recently won the biggest tournament of this format. This is Creamy Lotion's list. Although I do think you can make a lot of adjustments here in terms of rank, because I don't think this list is something that you would want to run in rank. But this is I would say a drawing board, right? This is a drawing board. This is you just adjust whatever you want in here. For example, me, I would remove 1 cape for either a Sabrina or a Mars, and then I will also remove Mesagosa, the Stadium, for either a Sabrina or a Mars or even a PCL. So, or even a double or even a second Copycat actually. So those are the kind of adjustments that you can make yourself for this list. But other than that, this is the kind of a drawing board that I grabbed off the Limitless website. Speaking about talking about the deck itself, this deck at first, when the meta was still developing, people were still playing 2 lines of Bellibolt in the Bellibolt Magnezone, but it turned out to be too bricky, so they ended up people started playing only 1 line of Bellibolt and then 1 Oricorio, and it made so much difference that this deck has resulted into this deck becoming really, really strong and really, really good in the meta game right now. So if you want this kind of playstyle, it's really good. The flip Magnezone is really broken, Oricorio is Oricorio, and Bellibolt hits pretty hard as well. So if you want to use this deck on your climb, then feel free to, for sure. The other Bellibolt deck this season is this Bellibolt Zeraora. I think Bellibolt Zeraora has also its strengths. If you want to use this version, the strength of the Bellibolt Zeraora version is that it's a lot faster, I would say, and a lot more aggressive, but also I would say it's also a bit breaky. But the thing is, both the Bellibolt decks, I would say, is actually a bit breaky. The only thing with this deck is that it sucks if you never start a Zeraora on your bench or in your active spot, and it drastically makes the deck super duper slow and super duper weak, because you do want to always start Zeraora if you can, or rather if you draw it, So on the instances where you just never start it, it sucks so much. But other than that, this deck is definitely super duper strong. The base list that we have for here, they're running 2 electric generator, which kind of makes sense in order for Bellibolt to be able to hit that threshold faster. They also running only 1 Rocky Helmet and also 1 Poncho, because again there's a lot of decks right now that can put damage on the board, so Poncho does make sense. They're also playing Stadium. You can never go wrong with Stadium. I think Stadium is necessary in Bellibolt decks, except of course of the previously just shown Bellibolt Magnezone, because you're only really running 1 Bellibolt in there, and it's going to be pretty tough to get a lot of value from the Stadium if you're going to run Stadium in Bellibolt Magnezone. But for your other tech cards, this is playing 2 copycats. 2 copycats makes sense because again, this deck is Omega Bricky, or rather, this deck can brick really hard, and if you brick really hard, it's doomed. So having 2 copycats makes the deck a lot more consistent, and also you have Sabrina and Cyrus here, which is just really good cards to pair with Bellibolt, because being able to hit off. A lot of times you will be able to finish something or take something on the bench with Bellibolt Sabrina, and Zeraora having only 50 damage, you will be able to Cyrus something else in the late game with Bellibolt if you have it, right? So you can never go wrong with Sabrina and Cyrus. And for the next deck, the favorite deck of a lot of people, the industry plant of this meta, I would say. I'm sorry for hating on this deck. I just never believe in the potential of this deck, even though I will not deny this is a good deck. Like, do not get me wrong, Suicune Baxcalibur is a really good deck, and I still do see it like a lot and frequently on the meta game right now. So I will not deny the viability of this deck. So that's why, and also that's why it's in this list in the first place, because I do acknowledge that it is viable. I just personally do not think this is the top meta deck. But the thing with this deck is if you high roll, it's super duper strong. That's the thing with this deck. So that's why it's actually very strong, because if you like open with Suicune and then Frigibax on your bench, and the next turn you curve, this deck is this deck's become like extremely strong if you can consistently open that kind of hand, right? Assuming you do. But yeah, aside from that, this deck is running 2 cape. 2 cape is really good in this deck, by the way, because there's a lot of Altaria, and what Altaria has is Stadium, and Stadium will kill your Baxcalibur, your Suicune, and your Chenpao. So being able to have cape is really, really nice, and also on top of starting planes, so you can never really go wrong with 2 capes. And I definitely do agree with 2 capes in this list. Personally, if I would play this deck, I would also be running 2 capes. But for your other tech cards, this player actually is running a Sabrina in their list, which is super duper interesting, but also kind of makes sense, because Sabrina is good for tempo, also just good for being able to pick up something from the backline if ever if you can do that. Cyrus, you can never go wrong with Cyrus. Cyrus is always good because this deck doesn't really have a lot of one tap potential, so being able to have Cyrus on your hand is really, really nice to be able to pick off something that already has a damage counter. And Mars is pretty much Suicune's best friend, because being able to Mars after they take a major point or an EX is super good. It slows down the game a lot, and makes it so that you can get to your pieces and get to your own win conditions. And Irida, you can have Irida is I think 1 Irida is necessary in this deck. I've seen some lists where they don't really run any healing, but I do think healing is very important still in this deck, so you can never really go wrong with an Irida. And for the last two decks, will be revolving around Mega Absol. And for the first Mega Absol deck, it's actually Mega Absol Greninja. This is a really strong deck this season. It has become a lot more stronger because it's a really strong control deck, is what I would say. And also people have tweaked this list quite a bit this season. As you can see on your screen, a lot of players are actually playing inflatable boat in this deck, which is I would say super duper interesting because I fail to see why it should be better than X-Speed, but the reason it's actually better than X-Speed is because there are a lot of Chinglings in the game right now, so a lot of times you won't be able to use your X-Speed because you're getting Chingling luck. So on the instances where you start Froakie, you just inflatable boat out of that bad start. For the things that this deck cut is it pretty much just cut one Cyrus. This deck used to run two Cyrus, but a lot of meta developments have made it so that the Greninja decks have been running only one Cyrus lately, because I think that's what people are cutting, the second Cyrus, which also makes it so that you have to be wise whenever you use your Cyrus, because you do not have two Cyrus in your deck anymore. So that's the thing with playing this deck. But the thing with this deck as well is it's super duper strong. It has a lot of lines to take, and this deck actually has a lot takes quite some skill to be able to be played at the highest level of gameplay, right? So if you want to take that challenge, then feel free to play the Greninja Mega Absol. If you want to take the challenge of playing this deck and breaking Darkrai in your active spot, feel free to play this deck. And for the last deck of this video, we are talking about our favorite Hydreigon. Surprisingly, Hydreigon actually lessened a bit. I would say it actually weakened. It didn't really weaken, I would say. It wasn't. Hydreigon is still good. That's I think Hydreigon is still good. It's just that the decks that exist right now, they can keep up with Hydreigon because one, there's a lot of Chingling, and two, Suicune Baxcalibur actually has a decent matchup into Hydreigon, which is surprising, but also not really. And then Bellibolt also has quite an okay matchup with Hydreigon, although I think it's still a losing matchup for Hydreigon on the what do you call this? On the grand scheme of things, it's still a losing matchup for Bellibolt at the end of the day, but it's a playable matchup. It's so Hydreigon isn't like as oppressive in this season as compared to the last, where Hydreigon is just straight up BS last season, because you would just straight up see Hydreigons all day that are high rolling your ass and then Lucky Eyes popping your ass like non-stop. But anyway, the list that I actually grabbed from Limitless this time, this list recently won a tournament. Interesting, and the list is quite a bit different from the standard Hydreigon Absol that you would see. So that's why this is the one I picked, because it's an interesting list. I think it's definitely okay for rank, because this will actually surprise your opponent, because they will most of the time just expect you're running the standard Poison Hydreigon, right? But if you will be playing this instead, they might not expect what's coming for them. But pretty much what this player just changed is that you're playing two Furfrou. Furfrou is really good. The minus 20 damage is actually really nice to tank in front, and also you just one tap Chingling, which is like kind of weak against Chingling, right? So having that Furfrou insurance makes the deck a lot better into Chingling decks. and it's also playing two Rocky Helmets instead of 2 Poison Barbs, and then the usual 2 Ice Pop. You can never go wrong with 2 Ice Pop. This is Hydreigon's best friend at this point, so it's pretty much you know, the what they call this, it's a necessary card. You have to put 2 Ice Pop if you're playing a Hydreigon deck. And for the supporter cards, you're playing 2 Copycats because you need consistency. You need to be able to immediately curve Hydreigon on the very next turn. And lastly, this player is playing Cyrus, and Cyrus is generally just good. You can never go wrong with Cyrus, and there's that. But yeah, the meta has been developing still, I think, or rather it is settling. I would say it is actually settling because I think we're 5 days into rank already right now, or 4. I could be wrong by the time of this upload, but yeah, the meta has been settling a lot more, and you will see these decks that are in this video a lot more often, and it will be important that you know what decks you will be facing in the rank grind, right? So you will be able to have an efficient climb. But anyway, enough of me yapping. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys are having a great time with your rank grind this season. I'm trying my best on my end, but I hope you guys will have a great season ahead of you, and I hope you guys get the end of season goal that you will be aiming for this season. But aside from that, I'll see you all again on the next video. Thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate it. I'll see you all again next time. Bye bye.